We are finally getting some movement from the Forex market with the euro breaking down this week and moving into a new range. So I'll have all the details on what to watch and also the latest on the DXY. So guys, EURUSD, we are finally getting these markets moving here a little bit. And this is playing out, pretty much according to what I said in recent videos. So first of all, let's take a look here at the weekly time frame because this really sets the stage for what's been happening for the EURUSD over the past few months. We have the lows down here, right back here in 2022. Let me increase the size of this so you guys can see it a little bit better. And then we have the highs up here. Now, what's interesting about this is we did have two touches off of this upper level here in 2025. So the last few months for the euro have really just been very range bound. And this right here, though, the fact that the market was holding below this area up here, this is what I've been talking about for the past few weeks and really even months, that we could get that rotation lower from the euro. And we are seeing that so far this week. Now, obviously, the market, when you look at this in context, the market is technically still range bound, right? Let's not get ahead of ourselves thinking that we have this new trend here because really from the low right back here up here to the highs, this is still a range bound market. Now, with that said, though, we are seeing the euro actually break below this critical area here on Thursday. So this level that comes in right here around 115.80 or so, if the euro closes below that today, then this is going to flip to new resistance. So clearly enough, you can see all the lows back here. We had the highs, lows back here as well. This is going to flip to resistance now if the euro closes below. We also have a potential fair value gap off the low here from Wednesday. So this is going to be something to watch. Now, I haven't looked at the 30-minute TPO here, but let's go ahead and do that now to get a sense of what we're looking at. And you can see where we do have an imbalance right up here on the 30 minutes. So right up here in this area, I'm going to switch this to a single print just to make this clear. And let's turn this back off to clean it up a little bit. And this is what you're looking at. So right now, guys, what we have is the euro coming down here. First of all, we saw the market tag this unfinished auction from back here off of that low. So this was satisfied here today. So I'm going to remove this, right? Take this off the chart. And now we have this single print up here around 115.73. So this was created, this was an imbalance here based on today's price action because of the aggressiveness of this move. And so with the combination of this single print here, you've got new resistance potentially right there around 115.80 or so. There is that potential to get a retest up here in this region before that continuation down here toward that next unfinished auction around 115.30 or so. And then potentially a move down there toward that imbalance around 114.40. So the bottom line here for the euro, let's make this really simple. Yes, we are seeing the market break down from that February trend line. We've talked about this before. You can see that this was a perfect breakdown back here, retest through here. The market consolidated, made that lower high, and then now we're getting that breakdown this week. Okay, so a couple of opportunities here from the euro in recent weeks. And that is, you look at this here, right? We had that lower high back here. We had that sweep of this single print up here that we talked about in recent videos. We also had the close below 116.45. So this right here was a key level that I've discussed in recent videos. You can see this candle right here closed below. We got the retest as new resistance. That was a perfect opportunity to get short here on the euro. Now, moving forward into Friday, what are we looking at here for the EURUSD in terms of an opportunity going forward, right? It's nice to talk about what happened before and kind of set the stage, but what is the next opportunity here from the EURUSD? And in my opinion, when I look at this, right, again, we have the market, potentially breaking down into a new range here on Thursday. So if we get the sustained break below here and this holds up as new resistance, that's going to be key. Right? If we get the close below here, and then we see an aggressive rally on Friday back above this level, that is going to be a failed breakdown, and that is going to be bullish. Okay, so if we get the sustained break below here, this area has to hold. That is the bottom line. If it does hold, though, then you're looking at this new range between this area around 114.50. We've got that single print down there around 114.40, and then this resistance area up here. So this is the new range that you're working with, okay? So knowing that, right, and we know that the market is carving lower highs and lower lows, looking relatively weak right now, you're looking for shorts up here in this area. And, areas like this could become targets, this low from right back here. And then you have that single print down there around 114.40. But again, you have to respect both sides of the equation because if we were to get the euro breaking down here and then closing right back above this area, then that would be a failed breakdown. If it were to close back up here on Friday, that would be a failed breakdown and represent a bullish continuation next week potentially, okay? But right now, all in all, guys, looking pretty weak here following the breakdown from that February trend line that we talked about. Now, let's take a look at the DXY here because this is really interesting and it really sets the stage for all the other major currency pairs out there. Because, first of all, let's take a look at the monthly, right? Because again, if you guys have followed along for a while, you know you're probably sick of seeing this channel here on the monthly time frame going back to 2011, but this has set the stage for the dollar over the past few months. And like I've talked in those videos, the bottom line for the DXY was that this entire price action over the past few months looked identical to the last two times the market came off of this level. So this is no different from what we saw back here in this area, right? So looking at the monthly, consider this. Look at the price action here over the past few months and compare it to what we got back here. Now, there's no guarantee that we see the market do this again, okay? But the previous, the past few months have looked very identical to this right back here. I mean, almost carbon copy, right? If you look back here, we had the initial bounce from the lows. We had the market come up here into resistance, pull back down here, back into the lows, form, basically a double bottom, and then bounce from there. Same thing over here. Look at the price action. We had the first bounce down here. We had the market come up here into resistance, right? And then we had to pull back, test the low again, form a double bottom, and we're getting pretty much the exact same thing here from the DXY. Now, what's interesting or significant this week is that we are seeing the DXY break out of this descending channel that we've discussed here as well. So this right here, off of these lows back here and these highs, this is an equidistant channel. Markets love symmetry. You see this a lot. And you can see this is our 2011 channel support back here. That candle, that low actually was FOMC. So, oddly enough, this is back when I was talking about how you had to be kind of cautiously bullish on the dollar in this area, simply because if no other reason, the market was testing that 2011 channel support. Okay, and sure enough, that was the low for the DXY. Now, a couple of things here. First of all, if you look at the gap this week, okay, the weekend gap that occurred right here, the fact that we have not closed this and we've gone now several days without closing it, this is looking like a breakaway gap. Okay, this is looking like strength here from the DXY. I don't expect this to be filled anytime soon. Now, another thing too is if you look here at this break, let's take a look at the 4-hour time frame, because I talked about this in the Discord group and the VIP group back here when the DXY was breaking out on these initial candles. And what I said there was that this was going to come down to whether or not the DXY could hold above here on a 4-hour closing basis. If so, then we get that continuation. We get that confirmed breakout. And sure enough, the market never closed back below here, okay? Now, the second thing here is if we look at the daily time frame, you can see that we have some highs back here around 99.3, okay? So this back here was significant as resistance. So clearly, if we get the market closing above here, then this is going to flip to support. Now, obviously, that kind of leaves you in a tricky situation because, right, there's not a lot of pullback here between, let's say if we close the day here, we're just speculating, but if we were to close the day here and then you're looking for buys here, there's not a lot of room there. And when you look at the EURUSD, right, what I would say is you've got this pocket up here where you have resistance, you've got that single print, you've got resistance, you've got that fair value gap. This is your pocket, right? So the bottom line, what I'm trying to get at here is that we could technically see the DXY pull back a little bit further on Friday below here, potentially down here into this area before we get that continuation, okay? Now, obviously, if the DXY closes above here, then closes right back below aggressively on Friday, that would start to look a little bit more bearish. However, at the same time, you've got this 99.6 area, right? All these highs back here that we are closing above. So in order for the dollar to turn bearish at this point, it would have to close back below here. That's what you're looking at. This right here is your invalidation for a bullish scenario. Okay, now looking at the bullish scenario for the DXY, you have this imbalance up here around 99.88. Now, obviously 100 is going to be a significant test for this market, no doubt about it. You can see resistance back here. 100 is a big round number, right? A psychological number for any market. And that is going to be no different for the DXY. So I do expect sellers to come out and defend this high up here, right around 99.88 up to about 100, okay? This area is going to be a significant test. Now, again, we probably see a pullback from this area down here into some support if we get that. Now, whether or not we see a deeper retracement, we'll have to wait and see. But the bottom line, guys, is we are seeing the US dollar start to break out. So I see no reason to be bearish here. The same reason I see no reason to be bullish here on the euro, right? We are getting that breakdown from the February trend line. And again, when you look at the context of this over the past few years, the market is coming off of that channel resistance. Okay, so when you consider, the past times, right, that we came off this level, I mean, you look at this here and really there's no reason to be bullish up here. There's absolutely no reason to be bullish. Now, we could get a bounce from down here. Absolutely. We probably do. We probably see buyers step in and see this range continue for a while, right? But at the same time, when you look at the macro picture here for the euro, there's really no reason to be bullish up here in this area. Okay, so I will be looking for shorts here, guys, down here to play this range. But again, you've got to keep an eye on this area through here. If we were to get the close below, close right back above, that would be bullish. But for now, it does look relatively bearish here for the euro and bullish for the US dollar. All right, guys, I hope the video helped. If it did, be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. Also, join us in VIP, claim your 85% off lifetime access to Discord. See the link in the description of this video to join. Trade well out there, and I will talk to you again tomorrow in the weekly forecast.